How are you?
We're doing good.
Your
Your water was open, so I left it there, but we can grab you another one if. You're the only one I noticed.
Oh, it's right there, like Rob.
So it's just a bit. You can grab another one if you want to. or- Okay.
That's the road, not the bystanders.
Make sure I didn't hit it many.
Yeah.
It's always the meeting of some kind, 30. It's just. Huh? No, no, I just. But. Listen.
I've been telling Sylvia.
Christina?
All that now, I mean.
Yeah. I've never made it that much.
Where is it?
In Washington. Is that that way? That new.
Where was the?
Yeah, isn't that?
Yeah, well, thank you. Oh, yeah. Oh,
How far is that over the border?
Yeah, that's going down. 205, and then, 94. They got family, we got family. But, I heard there's one right across. In Vancouver. Thank you. Yeah, you bet. I like that kid was Bowman's. Hers, huh? I couldn't believe it, man. Like he was gonna gut her and all of a sudden.
Bowling? Oh, he sent me a video of a kid, looks like he's like 5 or 6 years old. And he throws it right at the gutter on the left-hand side. He's got a 7-pin on the opposite side and it goes 30 feet down the lane, heading right for the gutter. Then it hooks up, takes off and takes out the 7-pin on the
He
right-hand
does
side.
it like several different shots, man.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
Then he had the 10-pin, yeah, like you said, he had the 610 on the other side. And he throws it right at the gutter, 30 feet down, and it hooks up and takes out the 610.
Oh my God.
Yeah, crazy. Then he's got, you're driving down the road in your car, and the next thing you know, you're going in the lake and the wheels come up.
We're gonna hear about the one we're going to move out.
Yes.
Thanks for coming. You have input sometimes in workshops. I let you to just happy to raise your hand. We'll kind of do that, okay? Okay. Yeah, because sometimes we don't have all the answers, but you might.
Yeah.
Perfect. Hi, guys. Hey. I'm tired. It's a long day.
You know? Oh,
Well, I'll tell you what, so I'm better than Stephen.
yeah.
So we had them too. I had them. Those tacos were the best. I had them for breakfast the next day and then my lunch. I was like, oh my, and Nick at work was like, I want one. I was like, not a chance. Anytime you want to drop some of those off, let me know. Right.
So I had to wait like 3 months before I could get the shot.
It's real.
This stuff called.
Hey, Lori, can you hear me?
And, you're supposed to do something else.
Hello, can you hear me?
Put that on my skin, she didn't know. And he colors are pretty good. Like, I had it for,
Can you hear me?
great single. In my eye.
Hello?
Calm down.
Yeah, good quality.
It's miserable.
Can you hear me?
Then here's the word, I thought you were showing up at 7. Oh, good.
Well, that's 246 page, 175 page. 100-page report.
Hello.
This talking.
How are you doing today, sir?
Doing well, how are you?
Oh, come on in, nobody's gonna listen.
What's your day? That one's on.
There's like this other little one.
It's just all iron. Is Israel on it? So we know they're doing it.
Yes, yeah.
I got your text earlier and I heard the audio.
Hello, can you hear me?
They don't ratchet it down, it's the thing for locking.
I asked Israel. Oh, I don't have it.
Yeah, then that's the problem.
Yeah, I know what I did for fun. Bell.
I can have it. It's just.
Yeah.
But it doesn't.
Found this.
Are you admitting people in yet? It's open. In Israel, our RT is online. He's only gonna be here. Make sure people are getting on.
Is that our, I think,
Israel is, yes. It's been on the last few times.
is it the, it's hard to ask about those council members that don't have access to email?
You should call him and just, because he's been set up with you guys, because you guys haven't been set up yet. I mean, you're listening.
Mary, how are you?
He's got control.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's running.
Yeah.
I've never seen. Hi, Israel.
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Barely.
barely.
Okay, let me turn up the audio. Can you hear me?
Thanks for being here today, Israel. It was a
Yeah. Of
We
course.
still can barely hear you, Israel.
Okay, you might need to grab the remote and turn up the audio because that's what it is.
Again.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah, just make sure that the audio is turned up on that because it was muted.
Israel, can we, I know it's maybe not appropriate, but I'm set up on email, but the rest of the council needs to get their new emails through Outlook. Can you help them this week sometime if they call you?
Yeah, just give them my phone number or email and then we can get connected with them and help them get set up.
Okay, thank you. I'm discovering Teams. I'm liking it.
Perfect. I'm glad.
Get past the technical stuff.
Yeah, I already
Yeah.
have phones on my,
I do it work, but it's a little bit different.
I just need a phone number or an email. I can get a hold of you.
Right.
No,
I can get that to you after.
I see that, Joe finally got a window in that door, huh?
Yeah, that took a little while. Those are a little hard to source.
Pretty good. I walked by the day and I said, it's a window in there. So something, I really almost, had to take it by the look.
He has all the training. All visiting out there. The order's motor is, motor.
That's where Duncan used to work. He knows that. I said,
The sun, when I got outside this morning, I was like, oh God, it's on sound. You're a little long tomorrow, right, Hank?
Yeah.
That's good for they
Yeah, Nick, a couple passes there. You don't sink first. That's the problem.
It's front row just for you. Hi, Lisa. Hello. Hey, how are you? Nice to see everyone. Oh, okay. You guys, it's 5:30. Thank you all for coming. I just love that you guys are here. The time is 5:30. The date is February 22nd, 2024. And we're going to have a workshop on water bill, raising water bill rates, yes, but also the way that we want to try to budget and change things a little bit more so money goes directed to our fixes that we absolutely need to have happen. So the conversation will be all around that. I just want to make that clear. Again, thanks to everybody for joining us. I appreciate it. Before I start the meeting, during workshops, once we're having discussion, if you have like an epiphany or an idea as a citizen, and you think maybe it would be of value to the conversation, please feel free to raise your hand. And if you stay on topic, you can comment. Okay, we try to keep those short, but you know, we're fallible. So any help you can give is appreciated. Thank you. With that, I'm going to call this meeting to order and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we'll move to that roll call. Councilman Ladd.
Here.
Councilman Gonzalez.
Here.
Council President Michael Gregory.
Here.
Councilman Ramon.
Here.
Councilman Harvey.
Here.
I'm Mayor Gillen. I'm also present. Please note all council are present. We'll move right into the discussion, and I'm going to hand that discussion over to first our city manager, Roger, and then I'm going to have staff buy-in so we can be brought up to date. Roger, thank you. For those of you that don't know, Roger Brown comes to us from Boise State. He's also done education at Dartmouth, very nicely, very educated and very reserved. Thanks.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, good. Technology's great when it works. I've done a little bit of a study here. And we'll talk about allocation of overhead, and we're going to talk about some of the direct expenses that are associated with running our water and sewer and storm systems. And we're going to look at income. I went back a full year. And if anybody wanted to have one of these sheets that we're going to be discussing, please feel free to, I think I've got enough of them there.
Just to say, Roger's been writing us SOPs to standard operating procedures since he got here and doing a really lovely job so that we have some guidelines to follow. I just wanted to kudo him for that. He's really made some wonderful matrices. Thanks, Roger.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's start up in the upper left-hand corner of this. This is somewhat of a, in the private sector world, they call it an income statement. We have several types of revenues. We have water, some adjustments, penalties, which are late fees. People pay us late, we charge them for that. Sewer expense, storm, credits that can be generated from any number of sources, and refunds. So we total all that up, and the revenue for a year for all those categories is $830,000 and change. So then we look at expenses. Labor, there's a calculation for that. Fully loaded labor for Public Works Department is 255,000 and change. We estimate that they spend 60% of their time maintaining and operating all the water facilities. So that means about 153,000, 343 is what we're spending on payroll. We start looking down the list. North Star Chemical provides us with treatment chemicals. PGE, which is probably the largest expense that we have running the operation, is $107,000 a year. The bad news is they just announced a 14% increase. So that's going to add probably another $15,000, $20,000 to what we're using for electricity in the coming year.
14%, Roger?
14, from what I understand, 14%. And Pacific Power they followed suit. They did a similar increase. So we can't switch power companies. I don't think we could do that anyway. I mean, PGE is the only game in town.
Can we not get a generator?
That'd be a big one.
Right.
Huge one, yeah.
The cost to generate power per
You
kilowatt,
gotta raise your hand. Okay, Mr. McDermott.
the cost to generate it through a generator is more than it costs for the electricity company to deliver it.
Good question. Looking at option. Go ahead, Roger.
Okay, Univar provides us with chemicals. Water Lab does all the testing that we have to do. There's a whole bunch of it, freshwater and the lagoons have to be tested on a periodic basis. There's no escaping that. Xylem Water Solutions provides equipment.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
On the testing, since this was from the last year, I'm concluding that that includes that extra testing we had to do after the lightning hit.
Good question. Kyle? He's our public works. Kyle is our superintendent. And this is Amy?
Yes, that did include that, after the water plant got hit in September. It does include that additional testing. With the way our permits are set up, the testing can substantially go up or down, depending on the year, because there's 1-year tests, 3-year tests, 5-year and 11-year tests. So some of those are fairly substantial. This was a baseline year where we didn't have any additional testing, other than the, when we had to resample several times during that event.
Okay, one more question. Go ahead.
So on the years that you do have to do a lot more testing, can we get information on what that normally looks like as well? So that when we look at the budget going forward, we can incorporate that?
You know, that's a good question. We are going to do a budget. We're still taking budget committee applications, ma'am. We've had quite a few spots, but that is something that we'll cover when we're figuring out what our expenditures will be, right? So yeah, that's a very good question and it should be answered at that time. Thank you.
Okay, the last item here is Xylem Water Solutions. And we purchased equipment from them. We had a $19,000 surprise this year. Some motor controllers failed and they had to be replaced like right now, because if you don't run the motors, you don't, the pumps don't work. So occasionally there's going to be items like that that are surprising. So we look at all the total direct expenses. Those are the things that cost that we can attribute to production of water and treatment of sewer effluent. So that it gives us an idea that there's $498,000 that is in excess of our expenses. That would be the bottom line. However, there are allocations that are, and an allocation is an indirect expense that supports the effort of public works. So there's a number of things such as some of the upkeep on this building, vehicle expenses, fuel, all of those types of things that would be normal course of business. So we need to figure out how we're going to allocate those things, what we're going to allocate and how much, and to which funds those allocations are going to be made to. That is what the budgeting process is going to examine. And to enhance the budgeting process, I'm going to go back to 2019 and do this same scenario, because there's been a lot of changes in the economy since then. When COVID happened, the Consumer Price Index, which is part of the formula for water rates, went all over the board. We need to, if we're going to use that, continue using that, we need to figure out which of those CPI indexes we're going to use and how we're going to apply them. I think we take an average, monthly average for a year, and say that's going to be the percentage increase up or down, depending upon the time period.
Just a minute. Roger, so the last few years to talk about the CPI index, there was one being used. And instead of averaging it over 12 months, which I feel is the proper way, and I think Roger concurs, 1 month of the year was being chose, and it was February, and it was like 8.5% or so. And to give or take, don't quote me on the exact figure. So that's one thing that I want to look at, is if we can do better than just going, oh, that's the good one. I want to be more fair with our citizens, is my goal on that. Plus, your guys, there was a resolution made before my time, before many of our time, when the water master plan was bought for, I don't know, $500,000, something like that, that water bill increases would happen until the year 2035. At 8% a year, that's not sustainable for any family here. So that's another thing that I want to have Roger, and we've talked, would like to look at, because that is not okay to have it increase that much. That averaged, I think, in the last 2 years, $98 for you guys in increases. The whole year, it was 48, you know, 96, 98 bucks. That's a lot for the average family. So that's something we're gonna look at. And just to say about that CPI index, that's why we need to do better. Go ahead, Roger. Oh, that's right.
I was just gonna ask, we just had that new housing development go in along with the apartments. Can you go back before those were put in, look at what the water stuff was then, and then compare adding the new stuff?
Yeah.
Is that what we're also doing?
We can do that. We don't have enough data about what their usage is going to be, because none of those places are filled up and operating at full capacity yet.
Okay. When I've driven around the houses, they look like they're pretty full. I know the apartments just opened up, so that was, I know the apartments aren't gonna be in there yet, but the housing, I was just curious.
Some of those houses were bought, now being sold as well. I
Yeah.
think so. We're not getting a real long longevity of people living there yet. So to get good data, what is it, 2 or 3 years?
I would think at a minimum of 2 years would be good.
Good question.
If we go back 4 years, what I'm gonna do is put a spreadsheet together where we can do side-by-side comparisons in the same categories that are on the sheet that you have here. So we can take a look at what the fluctuations are and do a little bit of variance analysis, you know, why did that happen? Why did changes happen? And that's part of an exercise called cost accounting.
Got you one more, go ahead.
Before you guys end tonight, will you be putting all the numbers together and then coming back to do one more meeting? That way everyone sees, you know, that you brought all the information before you fully decide.
We aren't gonna make any decisions. It's a workshop, and this is one of maybe many. Because we can't timeline what Roger, we're just hearing what his plan is and what our ideas are and hope that process, but no, this is not definitive. Yeah, good question. Go ahead, Roger.
So that's pretty much what I've got here. We need more data to base future decision on. I don't think it's fair to say we base it on one set of data. We need to spread this thing out and take a look at where we've been and make some educated suggestions about where we ought to go. And I don't think that's gonna happen in one session like this. It's gonna be several.
May I have a question? I have a question. In fact, I have two things I would like to add. When these new developments do go in, I think we have a yearly audit and it was brought up that we had to raise our SDC funds, our system development charges, to be able to help absorb these costs and the upgrading of water lines and sewage lines, and discharge. And I know that when I first started on this council, it was about $9,000 or four to 5,000. I believe it's up into $13,000 or $15,000 per house. So does the system development charges do any offset to help the consumer here, us, good citizens of Jervis pay our bill? Go ahead.
Unfortunately, system development charges are for projects specified in the master plan, and they're strictly tied to that. So as far as like our day-to-day operations, maintenance, any kind of repairs, or anything that's not directly in here, they're basically sitting in an account until we use them for something.
Go ahead.
Okay, I have one more thing. John and I both been sitting on this council for many years and had a auditor stand right there and say that our department, sewer, water, septic, whatever, it was losing money rapidly, like it was not sustaining itself. But by the other numbers I see, it looks like we have maintained just fine. Am I not correct?
Well, I think that some of the budgeting, if you go back into the budgets, Michael, not just SEC funds, but a lot of wages were being paid out, administrative costs. Is that correct, Roger?
Yes, it is.
So that's something in this new budgeting system that we're trying to adapt. We need to put more of the money for public works where it belongs and stop taking it for administrative costs and start tightening our belts and making that change. I will say in just the front office, we've saved by combining the recorder / manager. This is a model that we're trying, by the way. Kicking the tires on and seeing if this would work. I think it saved, what do you think, Roger, about 50,000?
About 50,000. And in the next council meeting, I'm gonna make the same comment. I got an email from FEMA. City bought a generator out back to, power goes out and the thing turns on and runs City Hall. There was some follow-up that wasn't done correctly, and they said, we need documentation or we're gonna ask for our $30,000 back. I got it done in 2 days and saved us 30 grand.
Nice.
Nice job, Roger. So, and that goes along with, standard operating procedures and just, the ball was completely dropped on that way back before Roger. Okay, so, thank you, Roger, for fixing that. We appreciate it. Yeah. What were we just talking about? I'm sorry, I've had a long day at work, guys. I'll let you have that
I
back.
do have a sign.
Okay, go ahead.
Here about a week ago, we signed a contract to make a major set of improvements to the wastewater treatment plant down at the end of 4th Street. That is being funded by grants. It's not coming out of our water budget. And the projected amount of that project is about $1.7 million.
Whoa, nice.
Nice, Kyle. You.
I'm sorry, I can't take credit.
You did good though. This is all good. This has all been in the works, but you've been really doing well. So do you want to speak on that, Kyle?
Yeah, I guess we'll touch on that. In the wastewater master plan, there's a lot of very large projects stepped out in there. But with the ARPA funds, we received a grant as well as what they call ARPA Flex dollars. So 2 separate funds, but we were able to knock off a substantial chunk of these projects with relatively little cost to the city. There will be some ongoing engineering that the city will be paying for, but, we're gonna use the SDC fees, so it's not gonna come straight out of the budget. We've had kind of a challenging year. But, yeah, that's gonna provide a substantial help, getting further along in our short-term and our long-term projects. There's, in all three of our categories here, there's short, intermediate, long-term projects, lined out. But going forward, there's really no fiscal plan to knock any of them out without taking on debt, which really where we're at now, we would essentially have to wait to pay off some of the existing loans before we could take on new debt and tackle more projects. That could do two different things. If the city, intends to grow, some of the infrastructure would have to be replaced or in place ahead of any kind of growth for the increased capacity that would be necessary. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. You have to have one in place before the other. But a lot of that means it could be kicked down the line too, if we're waiting to pay off an existing loan. Use, for example, the water plant. We're still paying on that. I believe that was a USDA loan taken out in the 90s. We're coming up near the end of that. A new water reservoir was put in. That's another one that's going to be ending here, I believe, within a year or two. So those are two substantial annual payments.
John, you got the floor. I'm gonna step out to you, so rest of my.
That loan you're talking about, that started a long time ago. You know, someone, ballpark date? I mean, that, what, okay, I get, what I'm asking is the amount that's left. Is it something that we possibly could take care of ahead of time?
Possibly. The question is the existing loan, like in the water plant, if it would be feasible to pay it off ahead of time, that would be more question we can answer once we get the budget reconciled and know exactly where we're standing. So it's until that happens. I know it's been a long, arduous process for Roger as well as the auditor going through.
Well, I guess kind of what I'm looking at is if that was done, there's surely some interest being paid on that money. We could save that amount. That was what I'm looking for. So that I'm thinking of it. Just as an idea.
I remember some of those loans, the two loans that you're talking about. And if I remember correctly, isn't it about 60,000 a month or a year or something or in that? Wasn't it 60,000 a month or something?
It's no, I believe you're talking the reservoir was kind of a real interesting deal. It's an interfund transfer. We use money from one fund to pay, from the sewer fund to pay towards the water. So right now as it sits, it's 50,000 annually. I believe it's 10 even payments of 50,000 because the overall project was right at 500,000.
Were we still talking about finances? So did anybody else have? I was wondering about this year, things that we're seeing going on, positive things and things repairs, the sewer lines, we could tell the citizens kind of. I don't, please.
Well, as everyone knows, this year's been quite the challenge. We've had a lot of abnormal things happen and we've had to replace some fairly substantial pieces of equipment. They've incurred a lot of, just overall expenses where we've had to push projects that we had on the books down the road, because there is no reserve fund, as it stands right now for emergency situations. So that was one thing. If we got on that topic to talk about tonight, if you can follow the dollars from the rates, keep them at a minimal increase. I don't know about changing the structure of how it goes through. I'm still familiarizing myself with the whole process, following the dollar from the front counter to the budget. But if we had some sort of a catastrophe reserve, we wouldn't have to be shuffling, dollars around from one account to another and, be scrambling to figure out how we're going to fix. Is that kind of what you were thinking?
Yeah, and we have completely struggled. There has been zero reserve for this budget years. So The goal Roger has talked to us about is we have a CPA, her name is Sarah. She's came in, she's fixed the payroll that started bad, going bad in July. From July forward, and Ms. Clifton took her first lesson last month, and she was able with Sarah, they got things fixed. And we're on a good path. Let's just put it that way. We're moving forward. It's gonna be okay. So she did this work for us, but she is going to come in. We're going to start acting like a team on the budget with you guys, is what the goal is. You know, we know things are important to you guys, but you also need to be present to understand things like what Kyle and Roger are saying about funds. So we're gonna do a new budgeting process. It's going to be several meetings, right, Roger? Go ahead.
Yes, Sarah's gonna come in. We have 2 new council members that have not participated in the budget process. What do we have? 2 or 3 new people, citizens on the committee?
3 or 4. I'm not sure.
So what we're gonna do is have her come in and teach everybody that's not participated in how the budget process works. Teach them how it works and walk all of us through the process. And we're gonna write down how we did it this time. And that then becomes a standard operating procedure about how to do budgets. So we've got a pattern for how to do things in the future.
An SOP, a standard operating procedure. But this time it's going to be set in writing and not just, and just for lack of better words, tribal knowledge, you know, somebody knew how to do it. We're gonna know how to do it. Turnovers happen, things happen. We're going to get the city set in a place that we can move forward at any given point without pause, so to speak. So that's a good positive thing that's gonna happen. But Kyle's department has suffered for years. We've had administrative costs that were just way up. We had things happening. So my goal, and I believe most of the council and Roger, is that we need to start putting more money out of our budget into this department. Because the master plan that we paid so much money for is behind. And we have, again, no reserves. So how do we do that? You guys, I'm not sure, but maybe Sarah and all of us can figure that out. And it might not happen this year overnight, but we can start the process of catching up with the master plan that we paid dearly for. And our citizens can start getting the services they need better, right? Can fix things a little bit faster or such. Is that what we're kind of doing? Yes.
I was wondering if there's a way to kind of get a list of some of the things that had to be replaced, or potentially a list of the prospective things that are about to fail, that, you know, so we can kind of use that as a budgeting aspect also.
That's, go ahead, Paul. I think that's a master plan, isn't it?
Yeah, the master plan has a lot of, you know, improvements that basically deal with capacity in the system. It doesn't take into account wear and tear on things. You know, one thing, you know, for example, the water pumps in the plant, they've been in continuous duty since, I believe, the 2 main pumps that basically run the city without any kind of like high flow, they've been in continuous duty since 2008. Our large booster pump has been in duty since the water plant was installed, and that was 91 or 92. So, you know, they're aging pieces of equipment. Those are very expensive. Those are kind of projections that we can foresee, but sometimes, you know, things break, like the variable frequency drives over at our 4th Street pump station. Those were surprise expect what you're referring to. We've had a couple transducers in that. I mean, I could put together some, you know, a graph or a list of what we've incurred this year on top of the normal operating. Like I said, this year has been, 2023 was very abnormal. It was kind of a hair on fire year.
Everything. John, you have for?
Yeah, I'm curious as the lightning strike. Now, we have insurance for that. Did we get paid on that?
Yeah. John Morgan was here and spearheaded all that for the repairs. I believe there was a deductible that we had to cover. The expenses were shockingly less than what it appeared at first. So there was a couple electronic devices at the water plant. But going forward, like the switchgear.
Yeah, the switchgear, would you be able to save that?
It's, other than needing a display, unfortunately it's the brain unit, but there's no functional interface with it at this time. That was the only thing that failed. The actual switchgear itself is fine. They come out, they tested it, so it's not the major component. It is the brain and the unit.
So can we do a rebuild? Because I know our company, when we do switchgear, which is over a year out in order, back order now, we get rebuilds sometimes, but I'm not sure if it's the pieces you just said, that the base thing.
This is, it's basically a display unit. It's just what controls it. The actual switchgear itself is functional at this time. We had an outage, I believe I even texted you about it.
Yeah.
It worked as it should. So
You were real happy about
right now
that.
it's working, yes. It's
Yeah.
very happy. So other than, replacing just the face of it, so you know which setting it's in. Right now it is functioning as it should. So that's gonna be something I'm gonna budget for next year versus take it out of this fiscal year because we're already in the reds.
So about being in the red, Roger, how are we doing on the closings for the books? Because they weren't done. The closings were not done from May forward until Roger detected it when he got here. So we're having those closings done by the CPA. How close are we to getting those?
September. I think we're gonna get towards, end of December fairly quickly. There's some transactions that may be misclassified and have to be moved around a little bit. But, Sarah's very confident that all the cash reconciliation is coming out like it's supposed to, and everything in accounting ties back to cash. Cash is king, and if your cash doesn't balance between your books and the bank, something's wrong. And she's not found anything seriously wrong.
Just miscategorized and redone.
Yeah, thanks, money put in the wrong bucket, and that can be detected and fixed fairly easy.
So once we do that, then we know where our money actually sits, guys. Not that we're running blind, we're okay, but we really need to get a hold of that. And Roger's done a lovely job. Laura, thank you, and Sarah, so to that, we're getting caught up. Go ahead, Roger.
No need to worry about the city's liquidity. In our main checking account this afternoon, 354,000. In our government fund pool account, there's almost 4.4 billion. So we're not gonna run out of money.
Go ahead.
Yeah, one more thing I remembered that.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Teasing Kyle.
okay, was in the past, I even remember when Sam Sasaki, the city manager, was here, he made the comment, we had funds, backup, emergency funds. People called them rainy day or slot, but he said, no, these are emergency funds. And we did have a piece of equipment go out and we had the funds there and we just paid cash and didn't have to borrow. And then he also said, what is this like 1.7 million you have for City Hall? I want you all to know that we paid cash for this building you're sitting in right now. The only municipality in all of Oregon out of 315 cities that ever paid cash from a municipality. But we ran our other departments the same way. We had funds just for emergencies. And I don't know where we went wrong there. I think we need to get back there.
Well, I think that that's doable, and I think if we just not focus on what happened so much as what we're gonna do to fix it.
Well, I'd like to get back there.
Yeah, no, I would too. We ran for a long time on just a recorder. Molly, she's the one that saved that 1.7 for this building. She was very frugal, good budgeter. We're a small city of 2,700 people. So like this trial thing where we combine the two jobs is very fitting in a city our size. And hopefully it will take off and work. Kyle, you had something to say?
I had a couple points here, it's kind of a brainstorming type night here. I just informally, I compared Jervis, their water rates, sewer rates to some of the other local cities around. And we're comparable on some, we're substantially lower than others, but they have different types of treatment. So you can't exactly go across the board, saying, Silverton, for example, they're, for the same amount, we have 1,000 units is allocated for our water bill per month. Silverton, they're what you call a base rate. You pay $20 for your service, and then you pay just about for every bit of water that you use on a sliding scale. But we were like at 38.51 for the 1,000 units. Silverton, they're like 64 or 66. So on that note, something to consider maybe would be a different type of pricing structure versus, everybody paying the same exact fee for 1,000 units. That's not necessarily fair or equitable for the person living by themselves using 200 units of water per month, living next door to somebody that has 6 or 7, individuals living there that use right at that 1,000 units. Their prices are exactly the same month to month. It would take quite a bit to redo the pricing structure, but that person that's not using, the maximum amount of water, their bill would go down. It's what most other cities are doing. So, for example, I think Hubbard had a base rate of like $19.39 per water. And then for 100 units, it was an additional $2. If you go up over 200, between 200 and 300 units, it's an additional $2.35. So it's more fair across the board because you have that person paying the same rate for water, sewer, everything that's barely using the services compared to, say, their next door neighbor. They're offsetting the cost for them.
That's something to look at, a different way of doing that, because like I say, there's a resolution. Once there's a resolution, that's why we're meeting tonight. It's until 2035, we have to raise your rates, but we can change it if we can find an option, right? Resolutions can be changed. That's the big part. And Kyle, I like that. Thank you for your comment. That's one option.
It's just kind of something to consider. It's not necessarily going to do anything with the actual cash flow or the incoming finances, because it should average out across the city and not change the cash flow, but it would be more of a fair presentation to the citizens. You have people that aren't using much of the services, they're offsetting it for the people that are using substantially more. That was just something I thought. We're talking water rates, get it out there. It would take a while to get a system like that in place.
Maybe not this year, but something to work towards.
Potentially.
That might also be a way to want to conserve on their water usage. Somebody might leave their hose going for 2 days without turning off, stuff like that. Yeah.
Water
I think it's got some good things.
Sounds like common sense thinking to me.
Well, oh, thank you. That was good. I talked to Charles out there at Hubbard a little bit. He was gonna give me that.
Oh.
Kind of, that's good, because I knew they had done it.
One way to think about this, and Kyle and I were talking about this earlier today, a sales tax is going to have less impact on someone that makes a lot of money than it does on someone that is average or below average. So the sliding scale thing, if you got a house that has 7 people in it and they're paying the same base rate as the house that has 1 person in it, it's really unfair to the person with one that's in one house bearing the burden of the others that should be paying more.
More equitable. Anybody have any buy-in on that idea?
Yeah, I think that it's a great idea. I mean, it first, some people have a garden that they go crazy in the summer, and others, like myself, have a tendency to just let our grass just
I do too.
go brown, because I don't want to, part of it's, I just don't want to take the time to water it, but I also don't want to use that water, but some people do. And so it seems not fair that I then essentially am paying for somebody else to water their grass because it's all equal.
That's something to look at, Roger.
Yeah.
Get some done on this. Go ahead, Doug.
I apologize for not being more educated on this. I just pay my bills, to be honest. I don't know how we're billed. Are we truly have somebody coming and reading our meters, or is it just?
Yeah, about 5 years ago, which is another talking point I had, the city switched over to what they call radio read. They actually replaced an existing radio read system. When you see the public works truck drive around nice and slow, sometimes they're pulling the reads for it. On that note, just some of these anticipated costs that aren't even lined out in the master plans. That metering system in October will be 5 years old. There is no replacement fund in place, or, it's kind of goes back to the reserve fund. So at that time, I want to say it was around $150,000. They've gone up a bit, for meters. Batteries anticipated a 10-year life expectancy. They say they can last as long as 20 years, and we hope that they do and keep going. But it is one of those costs that's going to be coming up. Some of them will start failing, and given that amount of time. So, and that's additional expenses that are unforeseen, but they're going to be there.
That is a perfect example of like what I was trying to ask for earlier. If there was a list of those larger components that only last a certain time, and we've had these in place since this time, okay, they're about to fail in 5, 10, 15, and let's get those kind of unexpected expenditures expected.
Yeah, definitely. That's, that's a little way of paper connecting that.
That's positive input.
Yeah, very. Go ahead.
Yeah, as Council President, Gregory, sorry.
Yeah.
Saying that he said it's common sense thinking, and I'm not saying that you're wrong, I don't know. Do we know why they chose to make it the way it was previously? So we're one of the only ones who priced it that way. What was the rationale? Do you even have the idea? Or is it just, I think when we change regimes, there's a tendency to say this is the new right way of doing it. I just want to understand why we were differently.
Or is it
Just in general, do you even know why they did it?
the rate structure itself?
Yeah, why we had it the way it was.
Anyway.
You're not old man.
Anyway, it's been pretty much the same way. It's always gone by the amount. There was a set amount that you could use, and then once you went over that set amount, you would pay extra. And that was what my question to you was. I thought that it got changed to 750.
Mm-hmm.
Did we move it back to 1,000?
Yes, when the initial rates jumped, it moved from the 750 to 1,000 to help offset the difference.
That's right. That's right, of the raise that was coming in.
But as far as the base rate, the 1,000 units and on our current system, my guess is it's a very easy system. There's not a lot of different figuring. So, because each house under this other system would have to be figured individually by their actual use versus the system we have now. It's the same price for everybody unless they've gone over that 1,000 units. So there's software out there that does the automatic calculations.
That being said, would Tyler have a program that we could use? We would need to look at that to see if we did switch to that. If Tyler that we use now, right? It's Tyler, is that okay? Isn't it?
Well,
Or Encode?
It's Tyler.
Oh,
Encode.
Tyler's a trainer. Encode.
There is, I'm not sure when this is going to be, but you're talking about planned obsolescence. The software that we're using is written in a language called COBOL, which, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
At some point, there is an Encode version that is, the back end is MS SQL, which is a commercial, robust database management system. At some point, Encode's gonna stop supporting their COBOL product because nobody writes in COBOL anymore. They don't have the resources to keep up with patches and fixes and all of those things. So they're gonna change platforms. I don't know when, but it's inevitable. So we need to make sure that whatever we're going to do as far as this automated meter thing is gonna be compatible with the software change. So that's one thing we're gonna have to look at.
To your question, it's been that way. is
Yeah,
what
I just trying to understand what the
it's just-
rationale, why.
We
they-
have, it's just always kind of been that way.
Simplicity.
An easy, simple thing.
Yeah.
But if it's a little bit harder, if we could get it to work and it works better for us, I think it's worth a try.
Yeah, I just want to explain to him how long I've been. Oh, seriously? I was here when the sewer got put in. I had to dig the ditch from the back of our house out to the street so that we could put a line in to hook up to the sewer. We had a septic tank for many years. I didn't like that.
Rob, your family's.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. So of that base 1,000 unit that we pay for, are there homes like outside of like the businesses? Are there homes that end up going over that 1,000 in the month?
Yeah, quite frequently. You can kind of pick them out. They have the lush green lawns and all that. It takes a lot of water to do that. Another thing that happens is a lot of people have leaks.
Pools.
Yes.
If they have a leak under the house, leak in the front yard, between the service connection and that can put them well over that. We have a program in place that will work with them because it's unforeseen. You don't know until you get that large bill. But there are a substantial number of houses where they're just using that much water too.
Yeah, thank you for teaching me that I could see that it said leak on it and I just shut off valves until I found the one that quit saying leak. That was really cool. So I appreciate that.
We had a small leak in our kitchen and we caught it, but it didn't like affect our water too bad just because it was our kitchen sink and it was slowly leaking. We're a big family. We have about 4 kids. We do tend to use, when we moved here almost 12 years ago, our water bill was substantially lower than what it is now. Even having our kids, we don't run our dishwasher because we're like, whatever. I'll hand wash everything. But the water bill definitely has increased, even with us hitting that 1,000 whatever.
So you go over, you have.
We don't go over too much, but we do hit that 1,000. And so it's roughly $50 for water, $50 for sewer, sometimes a little over. So we're hitting that $100 mark for water. As a family of 6, and my stepson lives with us, so there's 7 of us, but he doesn't use that much water. He's very like, I'm gonna stay in my room kind of person. He's 25, he stays in his room. He doesn't come up until I take him to work. But as a big family, we don't water our lawn. We're still working on our lawn and stuff. So
Yeah.
I mean, as a big family, and our neighbors around us, they're pretty large size too. There's maybe one single person. So, but I definitely see that there has been an increase even with a small little leak.
Yeah, well, we had a leak, Keith and I, years ago, and it was under our driveway. And we were like $300 back when the bills before the raises started, and it was terrible. And I remember Dave Miller came out and showed us that something's growing here and it shouldn't.
No, and he had a graph right next to the comment.
Right. Yeah, and so we rerouted it and everything. It can really go. Go ahead.
Not to run into the daughter basketball, but just a thought I had while we were talking about this is this concept of another new houses, there's going to have big green lawns. I'd imagine if new houses, they could probably afford the water bill increase. I know. I am a little worried if we change the system, if we have people who are up to 7 or 8 who are using that water who can't afford it, will there be a way to subsidize for them? Just a thought.
That's a good question. So far, I got a hold of Ms. Wongren, and I brought in Loving. Right now, the only, because in our water master laws, it says we're supposed to be able to help if there's an emergency or this. So for years, nothing was there. So we got Loving Inc. put in place. So we get it one time a year. I looking for a foundation that another one, so we could have 2 or 3 of those places for these families, but I don't have a good answer because to get help or set them up, you know.
Not to like jump to that, I'm concerned a year from now or 2 years from now, if the water bill up for those families. And we get hit. I'm sure we're all gonna get with the school bond, whether it be Jefferson's or Woodburn's or whoever's, we're gonna be paying for something. I just wanna make sure our family's still.
And I'm gonna be honest with you guys. This is one of my passions is that we as a city, we're the city council. We try to stay out of that issue because we're supposed to be for everybody. But on that note, we have sat together and thought, if we could bring our costs down here, there you go, indirectly, but you know, it's not pointed like, oh, we're gonna do this. So, but yeah, that's one of my things is I think that we need to work harder at getting these costs.
Just wanna make sure our families are taken care
Yeah,
Thank you.
exactly. Thank you. Yeah. Go ahead.
Roger, Kyle, Laura, any of you know of our houses in Jervis that have multiple families in one home? Do they go high? Is there a big, do they go way over that 1,000 cubic, whatever? Do you know a percentage of the homes that do go over?
That would be, you know, more of a question for, yes, because I believe Abby handles all the meter reading of that, but we should have access to that to see how many, you know, the meters are. They'll give us a code that says leak or if the usage is substantially over those percentages.
I know there's like, I heard, and just a number, not names, but like 15 families or homes that have problems every month. They're having a hard time. That's why I sought out Loving. There's some sort of alleviation, but mostly our families do okay for now, right, Laura?
As far as the water usage goes, to go back to your question,
Yes.
when I'm collecting bills up there, I haven't seen anything that really spikes out. Like $120 a month, maybe, or present and past would be 200, 199 something as an average. So I haven't seen anything that like spikes out of. Everyone kind of stays around $95.75. Got that down pat.
Generally 18.
I'm sure there's someone at the Public Utility Board who might have an additional list of associations that can help with those who are losing. A lot of them normally have a pretty good list by county. Have you reached out to them?
You know what? I really haven't, and it's not an excuse, but I work 40 hours and I just, but you know,
It's just,
maybe we could get, but that's an idea for me because I wouldn't have known that if you didn't say that. So that's why I like all this. So just, what did you say, the county?
so the Public Utility Board,
Public.
they should have a list by
I will call
county.
them. But see, that's a resource I didn't know about. Thank you. But we never, and I'm not shy. I will go out and ask.
I do believe also before we implement a new pay structure or ask for a rate increase, I think it also has to go through them. To verify that it is fair and legal and all that.
Yeah. So that would be.
And there is a potential, you know, we may have to do a rate study again to be in compliance with it. I believe the last one was done back class this year.
Oh, so it might
It's
be
been some time.
about time. Yeah. So these are all issues. Go ahead.
Even though I've been here a short time, relatively short time, I'm aware of how many people are on what's called the shut-off list on a monthly basis. And that's 18 to 22, it seems like where it bounces around. And to get on that list, you have to be more than 1 month past due. And to get off that list, you have to pay your account down to 0, so your water's not turned on. That's the rules as they are now.
So wait, I don't understand that. So they can be 2 months behind, pay a month, but stay on this. So they're just a month behind all the time. Is that-
That's kind of the way it's been administered. The reality is if they get 2 months past due, they're supposed to pay everything that they owe so they don't get shut off.
So is the city kind of accommodating that then?
Yes, to an extent. Somebody gets 3 months behind, then that's a different story.
Sure.
I can just account that the city has said that they would work. I just paid my bill in full. I was just a month behind. But sometimes financial struggles do happen, and Abby I spoke to her about it and I told her I'd pay her as soon as I could before March 6th. So she has been and will work with people if they are a month or something behind. Just so you know that.
Yeah,
She
we
was
don't,
very accommodating, very sweet when I talked to her about it. So I just wanted to,
thank you.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of these have been financial issues, less than going way over on the water, using that more, and
Yeah.
making your rate way high.
So we distinguishing if it's, they're using too much or just.
Right.
I mean, my bill, we do use a little bit over what is a lot, the projected. So it is a little bit over, but for me personally, we were about almost 2 months behind. Last month and then coming in, or this month and then going into March or whatever.
I've been behind myself.
So, I mean, we paid in full and we paid a little extra, so we got it all taken care of. But yeah, Abby was very sweet and it would work with me on my bill if I needed to.
And that's something that, Roger will be working with, right?
It's part of the matrix, I would say.
Okay, something we can do. Yeah, he builds, pretty good procedures, but if maybe we need to put something in writing on that kind of stuff, so it's not just, tribal. Let's get it written down so that it could be followed like a procedure then. I mean, is there any way to improve that situation, or do you find that to be effective the way it's going?
I think I need to know a little more about it before I can,
Okay.
make a definitive recommendation.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay.
So I went ahead and asked for a history of my water bill and my water consumption because
Sure.
I want to be educated upon, like he said, I just pay my bills.
Sure.
So I'm trying to learn it now. And when I'm looking at the consumption, I feel like I need someone to teach me because the numbers to me don't add up. So if someone can.
That would be Kyle. He's our expert. No.
The meters that we have in there, like if you ever have a question on that, they're what's called a smart meter, and we can come out to your house and plug into your meter and show you day by day, like your actual water consumption. And if you have a predictable schedule, you can see you're going to work during the week, but on weekends, it's a real typical pattern. So your bill shows you what you use in a month, but the meters can break it down to per day. So.
Hey, Kyle, you gonna give water plant tours? People have never seen it. No, we do have we have a pond system, and I took the tour when I first. It's quite interesting to see how it actually is. But it's a lot of work. Plus, we got hit by the storm where the tree farm went down, so I got kind of a crash course. But the whole system that these guys do is just, people are like, oh, I see him driving. You gotta see what these guys do. It's really quite a job. You guys do great. He's very ready. Well, so tonight, what I get from it is that we need to start looking into these things for budget. We have a new list.
First video to do comparison year to year, year on year. That'll give us an idea of what the trends are. And if we need to go back further, if the trends aren't clear, we'll go back further and see what the numbers tell us.
And then Kyle, I'm not sure, but I think your research is very good, and the project kickoff RG is coming out, right? The excavators and
The 26th.
okay. I'm excited. Something for journalists. That's really huge. Thank you for everybody.
As the project goes, I'll keep, in the council reports photos if you want. or whatever.
Well, we're supposed to be launching a new website. I'm hoping we can do a blow by blow. And I can get a drone from work, borrow one.
I have one.
Oh, do you? Let's fly it and do it. Let's put it like an aerial.
I scored it, recorded that.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So the website, Roger, do you have anything on that for us?
We have a little bit more training to do. They're ready to go live. We need to understand a few things more about how it works. One of the nice things is we're gonna be able to develop our meeting agenda on the website itself. It's got a feature in it that will do that. It will archive all that stuff for us. The next piece of this is we're going to install an application on the website where we can have our water bills and police tickets and citations paid for online, which will cut down on people having to come into City Hall. If they got a credit card or a debit card, they can take care of it from home, either on their computer or on their cell phone.
Just getting it launched has been kind of, there's quirks and stuff that have to be worked out. Like us switching to Office 365. What happened one night is we were getting ready to go into a meeting in Israel. Our IT was here launching 365 and it took us down for 2 days. So our recording went down. It wasn't that we didn't want to record the meeting, we couldn't. But we were in midstream. We were up, but then we went right down. And it was, what did he say? Because something behind the firewall. But anyway, we did have a full pop and we've had a few and we apologize for that. We're trying just to set that kind of out there.
Well, I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
So with the water rate this year, because I know, we're having this talk, it hasn't gone up this year yet, correct? What was that?
It's probably gonna have to.
Right, well, that's what I was wondering is there anything in the resolution that was made that's supposed to go up to, until 2035, at what point do we need to raise it?
I don't think it's date specific.
Okay.
I think it was just implemented, but again, tribal knowledge. I don't have any of that. So we need to have Roger be able to dig in. But right now, and to be honest, we've had to catch up. Payroll was messed up since July. We've had bills that were not paid or late since June, July. So we're getting everything caught up. Ms. Clifton and Sarah have done milestones. We're almost caught up, but there are still bills that had came and didn't get paid in July and August or something. Anyway, they're getting them paid. So having all of that, you guys, we ask for patience that, the office staff is working as hard as they can. So when Roger has a chance, your question is good, Diane, and I've thought about it. I don't really know. Go ahead.
I do have a question per se. With this water rates going up and you guys having this meeting, possibly having a couple other ones, would it be feasible to possibly do another type of workshop on a weekend? Because I know some people work during the day and they work late. Like my husband's at work right now. So I mean, he would love to be a part of certain things in the community, but his schedule, he works Thursdays and he can't get off.
We've had weekends, but like my brother works well, and I'm gonna tell you, he's my stepbrother. Okay, this is all, but
I got stepbrothers.
he works and then he has a catering business. And so sometimes weekends don't work so well, but if we can, I will look at doing it. I can't promise though.
No, I'm not asking you to promise anything. I'm just asking that we could probably.
Because we've had a Saturday meeting before when we had no other option when nobody else could meet. That's kind of how we do this meeting stuff. It's got to be like whoever has to be here and finding a genie that gets us all in here is
A
kind of
month
hard.
calendar, 2 months advance. What
Right.
day are you available?
Right, and sometimes, to be honest, I have a son that's at college that I want to go spend time with, so I can try. But
I was just gonna mention that workshops don't require all council members to attend. Correct?
no, and we do have this lovely thing, and when we get on ourselves and get it going great, we'll be able to do that. But yeah,
Just to thought.
Yeah.
We used to do a little bit of goal setting sessions on Saturdays.
yeah, so it's possible. Good question. So with that,
Roger, can I say one more thing? When you're doing your numbers and all that thing, in your what the budget is. It really would stress the fact that I would like to have an emergency fund, so in just in case we don't, like to start, you don't have to have $1 billion in it, at least every year be able to contribute to that fund to build up for these emergencies, unexpected emergencies.
And Kyle's working on that, and I know Tim has looked into some grants, and he also came up with the idea that there's some equipment out there that we have to replace for the police. But we can get the state police used gear that they think is used, but it's not, right, Tim? There's things like that
There
that
are
do come
out
out.
there. Yes. Yeah, for years, we always had the police car fund. We always paid cash for our police cars because we were saving up for 2, 3, or 5 years and paid for our police cars. We didn't have to borrow money to upgrade our cars and stuff. And yeah.
That's why it's important that we budget as a team. But at $8.98 per thousand that we pay on our houses already, we should have it. We should be getting more for the public works. We should be getting more bang per buck. So what that's gonna take is us rolling up our sleeves, tightening our belts, and getting it done. Not just raises. I want you guys to know that it's not just raising your rates, which that's gonna help out to some degree. But we as a council commit to trying to find, and this team is trying to find loopholes, monies, like saving the money in the front office by restructuring, or making it work for Jervis. And it's kicking the tires to see if it's gonna work. I know that that's been a big question. Why haven't we done this? We don't know if it's gonna work yet. We're trying. That kind of thing. So I'm committed. I know they are.
Yeah, I've done my research and we're at 9% per thousand.
Yeah,
It is-
898.
And, yeah, the only city that beats us is Joseph, Eastern Oregon. Of that 315 cities, we are paying the second to the highest rate per thousand. And I think we can do better.
Yeah, we can. And Kyle, I know you've been looking for grants and everything. Me too, Tim. Thank you. And Roger, thank you for saving us on that 30,000 phone call. It just takes time. I mean, Diana, you remember nothing in the city goes fast, right?
Yeah.
I want it now, but it's not gonna happen. Very impatient. The boss city. So you ready? I want to thank everyone for coming, and my door is open. I do lunch hours, evenings, and weekends. I'm not privy to, I'm open to ideas. Thank you for that tip on the public utility. And with that,
The time is 6:37, and this meeting's adjourned.